All right, but I'm just here to cause trouble, so I'm just heckling. That's all I'm here for.
So I really do thank you guys for coming. I really am just wanting to do this as a party, so to speak, and very it's not planned like a training or anything, which is different for me, but to go, yay, physical copy, exciting, to ooh and ah. I even
And
love
we
the
rejoice.
colors that she did on the spine and the back. Um, I think this is a beautiful cover and just fun little tidbits. If you guys are familiar with great group games or building character from the start, um, Jeannie Lee was the designer for those, and I tracked her down. And so I got her to do this cover, and that made me really, really happy to add her into the mix. Um, Again, just that good energy from the very first book being a best-selling. I'm hoping this one will also have that kind of energy as we go forth. And I got it, Jim. Um, some of you have gotten to review the book while I'm doing shout outs. Chris Zinkowitz is my lovely, lovely editor, and she has done a couple of books with Anne and myself and this one. And so it's wonderful not only to have an editor who knows words and how to handle words, but who has a background in youth development work. And so is very familiar. So not only does she say, let's tweak this, or I don't think you meant to say it that way, but she can also say, have you thought about trying it this way? Or she'll go and test things and I'll go, ooh, I like what you did better. So that's fun. And then my last shout out, it really is little things. If you can see the little tiny icons that are in there for, like, I don't know which way to go to the camera, the little clock
Your
and
other left.
my other left, and there's a little supply, and there's the word directions. There's also like facilitator notes and stuff like that. Another friend who is an author and an illustrator, Linda Ragsdale, created those so that I and Anne and I can use them for all upcoming books forever and ever. And she just did that. And that's a huge, huge gift. So, just little things I wanted to celebrate about the production of this. And then uh, I kind of, in this time, I have never done a reading before from one of our books because Anne and I have always been activity based, and so is this 30 activities that is looking at how can you learn more about yourself, and then 30 activities, what can you do within groups. Um, but I kind of wanted to read a little bit from this one because one of the things, if I can back up and give a little bit of story behind this was actually started in 2017. At the time, I was working on two different books and had a whole different vision for where they were going to go. We put them aside, and Ann Saylor and I worked on Great Group Reflections, which came out in 2019. And then somewhere in 2020, I said it's time to look back at those. And there had been this hesitation on finishing that book, and I wasn't sure what it was. And in 2020, when I pulled it back out and I was looking at the materials in both, I picked my favorite activities, absolute favorites from each. And I realized that the leadership book that I had been crafting back then was a little more typical. Um, Smart goals and communication styles, and these things are all important, but it was very, very common to what we all know and what we already do. And so when I looked at it again with fresh eyes, I said, I feel like I was going a path that was expected or traditional, and that wasn't the path that I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted to say about leadership. So when I merged the activities together, one of the things that bubbled up was that I had used some Star Trek and Star Wars references in a chapter on advocacy to kind of make points. And it was just this little bitty part. And I went, no, I want the overarching theme around leadership to be about some of the things I've gotten from Star Wars and Star Trek because they can say better things uh, than what I could say. It made leadership more accessible for me. And the other thing that I realized that, there are a lot of nonfiction books out. We've all read them here, or articles at least. Here are 3 things to avoid as a leader. Here are 7 communication tips that you must integrate into your lifestyle to be a really good leader. Or here's the habits, or here's this. It's a lot of tell and a lot of information, but it's not formational. And if you have ever been in a training with me or Anne or both of us together, you know that we are very formational, and it's how do you craft that experience? How do you make an experience and give it an activity or a container that the people going through it turn inward and they're doing their own work, but they're also doing it with others in the group so that there's this collective community building element going along with it. And I don't think I've seen a lot of leadership books that are like that. Now, I will give a shout out because my favorite formational place is the Center for Courage and Renewal, which is based out in Seattle. And they do work with Parker Palmer, if you've read any of his books. I know Patty has. And they, in their retreats, create the space by using art, poetry, um, songs, dramatic readings. They use what they call a third thing that you talk about and you go through that creates the space for you to go inward to listen to your own inner wisdom. Call it your teacher, call it your inner voice, call it God. The name doesn't really matter. It's more of you're going in and listening to your best true self, your own knowing. I like that. But again, I couldn't do retreat work, and that's not mine to do. So it's how do you take games and activities to invite people onto that journey and to do it in a safe space where us as leaders are leading and creating the space and mentoring and the activities so that they can say things. And we know sometimes we say things out loud and we go, oh, yeah, I don't really mean that. So let me try again. Or, oh, I really did mean that. And we walk away with a deeper knowing. So that's kind of background. But I want to just give an example of how the force is used in here. So, in the very beginning, which all the first 30 activities are about leading yourself and things that you need to know. And so I just start out saying, I can think of no better illustration that represents leadership as the power to exert influence than that found in the Star Wars movies. You already know where I'm going with this, the Force. The Force? Yes, the Force, that one. If I could evenly grammatically swap out the word leader for Star Wars use of the Force, I would. In the movies, the Force is portrayed as a vital essence, an energy field that each of us can harness. The Force connects us to one another and to all of life people, the earth, trees, animals, plant life, the sun, moon, everything. The internal vitality of the Force is comprised of meaning, purpose, and connection to something bigger than ourselves alone. The Force is accessible within every single person. Thus, everyone has the capacity to draw on the Force to influence life around us, for good or for ill. It all depends on our choices. We impact the people in the world around us every day with our intentions, choices, words, and actions. Our choices have consequences. Those results have a ripple effect that in turn interact with others' choices and influences. These intersections may clash or collaborate to become an even more powerful ripple. The impact depends on how we live and lead. Since this book is dedicated to great group leaders, my hope is that everyone will tune their lives to the Force and use their power to exert their influence for good, the common good, the well being of all. That's just one sample of how I'm making connections. I go a lot more detail. Oh, thank you. I go into a lot more detail with Star Trek because I am admittedly more of a Star Trek person than I am a Star Wars person. And I know that universe better. But Gene Roddenberry did a wonderful job in looking at diversity and what was going on in the bigger world, bringing it all the way down from here's these diverse groups of people that it's not a matter if we're diverse, we recognize we are and we get along. That's represented in the crew, down to the main 3 characters, where one is passionate and one is logical, and they're often like this. And despite it all, they keep the relationship intact. And the captain needs the passion and the logic to make the best decision for everyone going forth. I could say a lot, which is why I read from the Force and not from Star Trek, because I think I even wrote more about Star Trek in the book than I did Star Wars. But I wanted to give that setting and that background to say that today I think leadership is more important than ever. And I think that these activities help take us on a journey to really discover not only our strengths, not only our passions, but how do we deal with things when we get all twisted up and out of sorts? How do we deal with things when we're triggered, when someone hits our buttons? And it's really easy to put it off and blame the past or someone else or whatever. But we're the ones who have that energy inside of us, and we're the ones who have the power to change things. So, that said, I thought I'd highlight some extras that you get when you purchase the book or get the ebook. There is a link that you follow that lets you access. Jim, did you say it was like 30 bonus activities? I think. Jim,
It would help if I was not on mute.
yeah.
There's about 25 odd bonus materials, and then we're embedding. There's a bunch of resources that are available on the YouTube channel as well that are videos. And so those are also going to also be up on the website, but there's a whole lot of the bonus materials that kind of leap start using this particular book.
It's all of this is to help you, especially when you're doing online. And I'm just going to highlight things, but you guys can unmute yourselves at any time if you have a question because I may not see you. Um, so there is an index that just kind of starts out. You guys can all see this, yes?
Mhm.
Okay.
You're up.
It just starts out like here, start here. There's step one, and it's just an intro video, and then there's a grid. And so this little thing just tells you, like, here's all the different videos, and here's the different activities we have videos for. Let me back up there. Maybe, oh, it's on the next one. Some of the activities are from others. There's PDFs, there are handouts. There it is, storytelling. So, for example, Melanie has already tested that with the team that she supervises.
Mhm.
And so she provided that PowerPoint and gave it to me, and it's got her little notes in the bottom of how she changed things because she has an international group. And so on when you click on that PowerPoint, you see that she's the one who provided it. And that's part of what I'm hoping of how we can support and help each other is by if you do something, put it out there. We'll put your name in there and save each other some time and just show how we're doing adaptions and stuff. So that is one. And hold on, it clicked very quickly. Um, the second piece, and Rebecca, I didn't get a chance to look again. Rebecca Kelly from National 4-H went through and created a lovely little grid for me on these activities. So she went through and said, here's this activity, and here are all the different little ways. And she did bullets like, I think you can do this activity with a breakout room, or I think you can do it with the rename survey tool or Google Jamboard. So she created this beautiful grid and all the possibilities of online tools. And we tried to identify as many as we could that were free for people to use. And then you can read about it. She kind of did a ranking system of what she thought the activities were like for someone who's a newbie leader of groups or not as familiar with the tech, and how easy it would be for them to go from the actual face-to-face activity to doing something online. And then let's see, I'm going to show you a couple of more, just what they look like. So for example, make this a little bit bigger. you'll get one, you'll say, here's diversity icebreakers, and it'll just have kind of a small recap of the rules. It shows you what you'll see, and like here are the full statements that are on here. Because when you look at the wheel, you don't always see the full statement. So that's your cheat sheet as a facilitator. And then it has the link, and you guys have already seen that technology is not my thing. Even though I have tried 3 or 4 times and have embedded a link, this will not let me click on it to save my life. So I had to pull it up for you elsewhere. Let me share again. So here's how this looks and how it works. So in this diversity icebreaker, that landed on I like hanging out, and you can see, you can't see the full thing, so you'll get to see I like hanging out with my family. So we took an icebreaker that you could do something this way, and you can simply have people do a shout out, yes or no, if they like hanging out with their family or whatever. You can use it to talk about, well, what do you do with your family? Go into deeper discussions about their time with family.
I used that one at my Christmas party and my staff loved it.
Oh, good.
It was crazy funny because my staff is in India, I'm in the States, but we did like, who's the most likely to tell a joke at the party? Who's the most likely to leave early, come early? They thought it was hilarious.
We actually use that for Continual, which is an online convention we run every week. That is a wheel we use to not let somebody know who gets to use a certain thing every week. So we have a little bit of fun with that every week.
This is a video, and I'm just going to go ahead and run it because it's not that long, and it's an elaborate, or it's embellished from what's actually in the book. In the book, you have a short paragraph or so that you can read, or you can simply let this play. And again, it had the directions of what you need to do. And
you didn't turn on the computer audio when you shared it.
I do. I can hear it. How do I
stop the share, and then you'll have to reshare it again and turn on share computer audio.
Share computer audio? Let's see. It
The
is
little
not my
checkbox.
day, is it? That's okay. I don't see anything to hit there, Jim. Maybe you should just take my word for it that it's funny. If you want to laugh
Hold on
at
a minute.
me more so than you are right now.
Can Jim share it from his screen?
That's what I was going to do. You want to ping me the link real quick and I'll share it?
Hold on. Once. So while he's looking, so I know that a few of you have reviewed this. You want to share? Anybody want to share an activity that you really loved that you've already done, or one that you're excited about trying? Because I'd like to hear too what's in your heads as you.
Well, I mean, I recorded the video with you, Susan, the one we talked about where the leadership corners, I think it is, where you
Leadership
choose
corner choices. Mm-hmm.
Leadership corner choices. I did it with because I'm a part of a larger group in Asia of country reps, and so we had a country rep meeting, and so it was kind of a fun introductory thing just to think about our leadership styles, and yeah, Susan and I did a video on it, but it was really fun just because I realized that even though the answers kind of seemed absurd at sometimes, like who would ever want to be a hammer as a leader? And yet one of the guys on our team who's actually a potter, so he's very into tools, said, oh no, I'm going to be a hammer because that's a really useful tool and I can build things. I'm going to help people build things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. I just thought about it hitting somebody over the head, you know? So it was really a great way to think about different ways we think about leadership. And the other one was like an air balloon and a bicycle or something, you know, and somebody's like, no, I'm an air balloon because I want to see over thing. And I'm thinking, no, I'm an air balloon. I just want to fly away. Or, you know, I'm the cruise ship because I'm like, yeah, let's all go the same direction, but let's have a party while we're doing it, you know? And then the bicycle is like, cause it's slow and it's more like appropriate tech, cause that's the kind of the world I'm in. And no, I'm a bicycle cause you can have actually a bicycle for two and you can come along or you can walk next. I mean, there were just all these different, it was really interesting to see the different perspectives and the different ways and ideas that people have about even words and what words mean, you know? So it was really fun and they all enjoyed it. And now they're all fans of Susan's and are all going to order the book. I hope.
So I pulled it up. So the two experiences that she's referring to, if I were to describe myself as a leader, I would say I am a cruise ship, a hot air balloon, a bicycle, or a train. The tool I most need to help me organize a project or my team is a hammer, a broom, a wrench, or a kitchen mixer. And you're right, it's all about analogies and how people see things differently. And I think it's a really beautiful way to see perspectives. Thank you. Anybody else have one that just really struck you?
Hi, can you hear me? This is Patty.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm just picking up my daughter from music lessons, so I'm driving. But
Well,
I
be
wanted
careful.
to share the importance of the book for me. My career, you know, I've led so many different groups and facilitated young kids and college professors, and right now I'm not in a position to really
Oh, Patty, we're losing you.
facilitate other leaders, and I'm really looking forward to applying some of the themes in the book to my house. Hello?
Oh, we really lost her. She's gone now. It's completely disappeared. Anne, I'm going to pick on you because I did this one without you. So what did you like or appreciate, or what stood out?
You know, my very favorite part of the book is your introduction and just the richness.
Mhm.
It's what you read out loud, but it's everything around that and beyond that. It just brought leadership to such a different light than anybody thinks about on a regular basis. So that to me is standout. Everybody in leadership needs to read that. I really did like it that much. I'm so proud of you. You're going to make me cry. But as I was looking through the book, I actually picked out an activity to do with my students this week or next week called Key Influencers. And it has everyone drawing a smiley face in the middle of a piece of paper, and they label it with their name. And then around that smiley face, they put several other circles. And you ask them to think about the key influencers in their life. Who are the people that they spend time with every day that make an impact on them somehow? And they doodle little images to represent those people or scribble in words. And then you call out different issues for them to think about. And the instructions say, next explain that you'll call out an issue and we'll ask for a volunteer to state what their view is about the given matter and name the person who had the most influence on their way of thinking. So it helps them to identify who are those key people in their lives and how do different people influence the way that they make decisions. And then you talk about the importance of having a balance of people in your life that you're looking to for wisdom and feedback. And I'm actually going to take it to a place of letting the students write thank you notes or Valentine's notes. I haven't decided. I might wait and use it for Valentine's. Just writing thank you notes to the people who have influenced their life. So that's one of my faves.
Nice. I love that you're doing the thank you notes with that. That's a great add-on for that.
The Dropbox is not wanting to let me in.
I was going to say, I know that sound was not the, I'm just going to tell you, in the Boone, it's a story of someone landing on another planet. And so in the little video, we're talking about first encounters and how exciting it is. And they have this first encounter, and there's this crazy creature that the person goes to help. And they're a little bit afraid because it's a creature and it's big and it may not be friendly. And it's sort of like the lion with something in its pad and paw, and you're pulling it out and you're trying to, oh, it's okay, it's okay. So I'm playing the human. And then a friend of mine who is a puppeteer gets on and does these crazy little cat-like voices and growls and stuff for the creature. And then he's the parental unit who's like 7 feet tall and comes and offers me a boon for helping out. And I'm like, oh, no, no. And he's like, oh, no, I can offer you a boon. So you can, I'm not going to remember all 4 off the top of my head. Would you prefer to be wiser, more influential, healthier, and maybe strong or something? And I love, because Ed is so funny and good at what he does. So when he's asking me which would I choose, he's like, which would you choose? And you're like, ah. And so it's just a fun video, and it's a great way to have a values conversation. So which would you choose and why? Why is that choice so important to you? So that has to be hands down, my favorite extra that's in the bonus features that you guys get. Patty, you're back. I don't know if your audio is any better, but if you want to try and pick up, you were saying you were excited about this book because you haven't gotten to lead some things.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. Yeah, sorry about that. I like to operate on cliffhangers.
You did an excellent job. Excellent.
Good. So I have a very dry job right now that I manage data from a team of staff. And I'm really looking forward to incorporating some of these team building leadership exercises into my very dry meetings. So I was so excited to get involved with the book. So thank you, Susan.
Oh, I'm so glad that you got involved in one of the reviewers, and I'm happy that it's going to bring some light and life into your dry meetings. That's what we strive for at Right Creations Group, right, Ann? Light and life and activity. This is the first book that I have seen that embraces the shadow sides of ourself as well. It's not just about, oh, I'm good at this, let's go forth in the light. It acknowledges that, as we said in the reading that I did, that you can use the force, you can use your influence for good or bad. So a couple of the activities in there that kind of look at that is like, one is self-twister. And so I have people go through twister motions where they're putting their hand in different places and configuring themselves based on if you've ever worried about something, if you've ever made a mistake, if you've ever gotten angry with someone and said something out of turn. Those may not be the right words in the book, but it's that kind of idea. And then you're looking at yourself and going, we did this to ourselves. We created all of this, mostly up here. And so how do we get out of those negative thoughts when we beat ourselves up? And so you unwind yourself if you practice gratitude, journaling, getting out in nature, play, things like that. And of course, the last one, if they're still twisted, has them untwisting. And it makes that point of what are the practices that help us stay sane? How do we manage our own emotions? So it's definitely SEL. How do we do that? And these are things we need to learn. I needed someone to teach me that back when I was in high school. And I tend to think of this book as high school through adult. That doesn't mean it can't be done with youngers. In fact, it can be. Some of the activities were contributed by people who work in middle school, and some of them were tested back in 2017 and 18, even with third graders. But the writing for me, was here. Bumping it up, bumping it down is upon the facilitator to make the age appropriate adjustments. That was in the side track. Self-twister, and then the one about triggers, as I mentioned earlier. So if someone's always hitting your button and you know they're going to do it, I know that Barbara's going to get me. She's going to go for the throat. She's going to get me by making that comment all the time. How can I say, I know it's going to happen, and instead of just knee jerk reacting, what's the pause button that I do there? What's the superhero Batman signal that I need to do to do humor and to respond in the way that I want to respond? And so I hope this is a more realistic approach that can be done in a safe place and done early as on, and help us all just to grow and build. So if you have spaces and places that you can get me into the door to talk about the book, run an activity or whatever, I would appreciate that help, because I want this to ripple out, and I think we need to ripple out. 2020 has had a lot of bumps, a lot of challenges that we have to overcome. Character development is more important. The work Barbara does is important. All of you, we just need to provide more resources to create those spaces. So hit me up if you have ideas and places where you can bring me into chat. I would be happy to do that. And also, if you're getting print books, I've got my little scale of, if you're buying 1 to 10, how much it is. I forgot the breakdown already. 10 plus until you get up to 25 and over 25. And so there's different rates if you're ordering directly from me. Did I forget anything, Jim? Or Ann?
The last thing, of course, is if you have other things to contribute, exercises, things you'd like to put into future projects, or if you have new and interesting ways to modify the ones that are in this book, of course, we can continue to expand the resources that'll be available to everyone.
You have such a great radio voice. Well, thank you guys for getting on.
Hey, can we all do like party fingers? We're so proud of you and so happy for you and excited about how this ripples.
See, I should have brought my Krampus hat in, and I didn't.
I was going to with my little whoop whoop.
I used to have my train whistle right here, but I can't, it's not there. I moved it. Oh, well.
Yes, Susan, I'm so amazed at what you've done with your career and to be able to produce this. I'm just blown away and really admire you so much.
Oh,
Way to go.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I say we call it a day. And yeah, thank you guys all for all of you who are left here played a role. And I am very, very grateful.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Good to see you, Ann.